Check out FlipsideGaming.com for all your gaming needs. Use the promo code HEROES to save 10% on all orders over $10. Hey there, this is John from Heroes and Legends, and welcome to another edition of the Magic the Gathering Market Watch. A lot to talk about again this week. Even though the market is a little calmer, card prices are relatively stable in most cases, but there's still a few cards that are jumping up in value. We're going to see those throughout the video today. I do think a lot of players are waiting to see what Dominaria United brings us. We've just seen a few previews from that set. Once preview season gets into full swing later on, I would anticipate the market will begin to ramp up again. And remember, Double Masters 2022 is still having a big impact on card prices, bringing a number of cards down in value. As a matter of fact, again, this week we do have a special section looking at cards going down because of those reprintings. Hopefully that will help you find some good deals out there. And we will maintain the $2 threshold this week. We're not going to talk about any cards unless they're moving up or down at least $2. Now, there were still a lot of cards moving up between $1 and $2. In some cases, there were good reasons for that. But in other cases, we saw some random cards jumping. So it does kind of feel like the market is still going through this kind of wide price adjustment. We'll get into all of that in just a second, but quickly before we get started, just a fast reminder, if you go to FlipsideGaming.com, you can use the Heroes promo code to save 10% on orders over $10. Currently, you can pre-order Dominaria United products there, plus they have a whole lot of other things on their website. Remember, if your order's over $100 or consists only of singles, shipping will be free in the United States. Also, whenever you use the Heroes promo code, it does support the channel, which is always appreciated, so thank you. And without any further ado, let's get into it. For the second week in a row, I don't have any standard cards to discuss. That market is very, very stable right now. So, welcome to the Pioneer Legal Spotlight. This is where we discuss the Pioneer Legal cards that are moving the most this week. First, we have a couple going down and then one going up. Crucible of Worlds. This is the core set 2019, copy down 202 this week to 3341. And of course, this is moving down in value because it was reprinted in Double Masters 2022. In Legacy, you do see this in 8-cast. It is in Vintage Prison as well as aggro shops, plus it is a popular commander card in various builds, including some new ones like Baba Lysaga Night Witch. Next is Grim Tutor. This is the copy from Starter 1999. It goes down 225 this week to 75.76. Well, this is getting reprinted in yet another secret layer. You will find this in the Fortnite secret layer, and it was in the Mischief one not too long ago. It is a tutor, so you do find these in many different commander builds. And the card moving up in this section is Emrakul of the Promised End. It goes up 432 this week to 69.43. In Pioneer, you see this one in Gruul Ramp decks. In Modern, it's in Mono Black Coffers, Eldrazi Shrine. Sometimes you see this in Omnith Locus of Creation builds or Amulet Titan too. In Commander, sometimes you do see this as a commander, and it's also part of the 99 of many builds too, including Kozilek the Great Distortion. Plus you can find it in new decks there too, like Nine Fingers Keen at times. That takes us to the Modern Legal Spotlight. We have some cards going down in value, then a couple going up. First moving down is City of Brass from Modern Masters. It goes down $2.85 this week to $20.82. This was reprinted in Double Masters 2022, which is why it is soft. In Modern, you see this in Ad Nauseam, Legacy, it's in Lion's Eye Diamond, Dredge. This is a huge Commander mana-based card, though. It's in many decks, including the Dragon. And of course, those decks have been seeing more play recently due to the Dragon support that came from Commander Legends Battle for Baldur's Gate. Here's another card that was reprinted in Double Masters 2022. This is Surgical Extraction, the copy from New Phyrexia. It goes down $3.73 this week to $12.09. This gets a lot of play, especially in Legacy. It can be cast in any deck because of the Phyrexian mana cost, and you do see this in both main decks and sideboards. In Modern, it's in Mill. In Legacy, it's in Izzet Delver, Jeskai Control, and much more there. Vintage, you see this in Oath of Druids, Humans, and more decks in that format. And it gets a little commander play too in different builds. Third verse, same as the first, Force of Negation from Modern Horizons, another card reprinted in Double Masters 2022. It goes down 402 this week to 53.79. And sure, it's going down in value because of the reprint, but this is a highly played card in lots of formats. In Modern, this is in Crashing Footfalls, 4-color Living End, and much more. Legacy, it's in Izzet Delver, Jeskai Control, and more there. Vintage, it's in Esper Tinker, Doomsday, and more in that format. Plus, it is in many various commander builds too. Fourth verse, same as the first, we have Wrenn and 6. The Modern Horizons copy is down $4.15 to $82.54 this week. The Double Masters 2022 copy down $4.99 to $70. The list copy was pretty stable this week. It was part of the list for Zendikar Rising and Kaldheim. And of course, this is soft again because of the new printing. In Modern, it sees a lot of play though. It's an Omnith Locus of Creation builds, Jund, and much more. Vintage, you see this in Temur Tempo, Oath of Druids, and Temur Control. Plus, it gets Commander play too in a variety of builds. Alright, last card going down in this section is another card that is moving down because of its reprinting in Double Masters 2022. This is Seasoned Pyromancer from Modern Horizons. It goes down 526 this week to 3124. This is another big Modern card. You see this in Rakdos Midrange, Jund, and much more. Plus, it gets some Commander play in a few different decks. Here's a card creeping up a little bit. Chalice of the Void from Time Spiral Remastered. It goes up 205 this week to 64.99. This continues to be a big Modern sideboard card to deal with a variety of threats, but it can also show up in main decks as well. In Modern, you see this in Omnith Locus of Creation builds, Azorius Control, and much more. In Legacy and Vintage, you typically see this in main decks. In Legacy, it's an 8-cast, Blood Moon Aggro, and more. Vintage, you see this in Hogak, Prison Shops, and more there. It also gets a little Commander play too in some different decks. And the last card in this section is Tarmogoyf. This is the Future Sight copy, the original, going up 255 this week to 45.59. Now, this particular copy has been losing a good amount of value recently, so maybe we're seeing the start of a little bit of a rebound here. This was part of the list for just one set, Modern Horizons 2. When it comes to gameplay, it's in Modern Jund, The Rock. In Vintage, you see this in Sultai Midrange and Temur Control, and it also gets a little Commander play. And that brings us to the Vintage Spotlight. This is where we talk about cards that see play in Legacy, Vintage, or cards that are just popular among collectors. As always in this section, at least for some of the cards, the prices you see on the screen are going to be a little more reminiscent of what you might see on a price tracking website. That's because in a lot of cases, these cards don't get a lot of sales in any given week, so we do have to lean a little bit harder on asking price in this section. Again, not for all the cards, but for some of them. Plus, when it comes to the more iconic older Magic cards, the price you see on the screen might fall somewhere in between the price of a high-grade raw and high-grade graded copy. But if the price isn't at least close to the middle of those two types of cards, or if the price on the screen is just not matching up with what I'm seeing for current sales, I'll let you know. First card has a pretty small percentage increase. This is Savannah from Revised up 259 to 359.89. Maddening Hex up 287 this week to 1407. This is from the Adventures in the Forgotten Realms Commander deck Draconic Rage. This continues to show up in some Legacy builds here and there, both in main decks and sideboards. Most notably, I've seen this at times in Izzet Delver builds. And it is also seeing increased Commander play around some new cards from Commander Legends. Will Blade of Frontiers, along with the background Sword Coast Sailor, and sometimes this is in Miram Sentinel Worm builds too. And you always want to think about the future, and this may play well in Commander builds with a card previewed from Dominaria United. Here's the card on the screen. It is Torwoki the Younger. Now, this is one of the box toppers. These box toppers are going to be Eternal Legal cards, and all of the various types of boxes will include one of the 20 in foil. Collector booster packs may contain non-foil and foil etched copies if you're looking for those. 19 of them are legendary creatures, one is a planeswalker, and they're all based on legendary creatures from the original Legends set. Tropical Island from Revised up $9.85 this week to $614. Mox Diamond from Stronghold goes up $10.99 this week to $657.38. In Legacy, this is Anaya Depths, also in Lands, 4-color Loam. This can be found in a number of different Commander decks too. Some Unlimited cards are still hot. Stasis from Unlimited up $11.26 to $96.45. Taiga from Revised up $12.55 this week to $405.85. Uh-oh, the forests are spiking. Okay, just this one. This is from Battle Royale. It is the one you see on the screen, going up $12.78 this week to $19.98. So we see this happen from time to time. One particular basic land disappears all at once from the marketplace online, and you get this kind of artificial inflation. Nobody's spending $20 for this card right now, but sometimes what happens is a player decides they want to pick up a number of basic lands for a deck or maybe a few decks. They make a lot of purchases all at the same time of a hard-to-find land. That leaves only the overpriced copies out there for sale, and that's why you see this kind of inflation. Typically, over time, more copies enter the marketplace, bringing the price back down. But again, because there's not a lot of purchasing activity behind a card like this, it is kind of hard to track true pricing. Many times when this does happen, it is with white border basic lands, because some players do prefer those. They stand out when you fetch. Also, too, we haven't seen this happening in a few weeks, but you might remember a month or 2 months ago, there were a lot of these hard-to-find basics drying up, so this could be a copycat buyout, too. Lord of Atlantis from Unlimited, it goes up $14.40 this week to $97.97. Icy Manipulator from Unlimited up $15 to $150. Mishra's Factory. Now, this is the Antiquities Fall variation that you see on the screen. It goes up $18.12 this week to $199.74. Sorceress Queen from Arabian Nights, the original, at $20.85 to $148.98. Copy Artifact from Unlimited up $29.70 to $277. Veteran Bodyguard from Unlimited up $40.02 to $75.33. Serendive Jinn, this is up $51.11 to $388.99. Guardian Beast goes up $242.21 this week to $1,025. Okay, this one's a little inflated. Library of Alexandria up $1,849.99 to $6,999.99, at least in theory. In reality, though, the reason you're seeing this kind of price show up is because there's some really high asking prices out there, and it appears that there's some market manipulation going on as well. Typically, high-grade raws sell for about $2,300. A graded 9 just sold recently for over $3,100. Last card in this section, Shazam Jinn. This is also inflated this week. It goes up in theory $3,101.70 to $5,994.99. Again, there's a lot of high asking prices out there, although most sellers will take a reasonable offer. High-grade raws can break $3,000. A graded 9 recently sold for almost $3,500. Not too long ago, though, a 10 sold for about $7,800. Obviously, those are extremely rare, but I do think that sale made people think maybe this card is worth a little more even in the lower grades, and that could be part of the reason you're seeing these higher asking prices. Alright, those were cards all jumping up a lot. Let's talk about some cards going down in value. More cards impacted by Double Masters 2022. In some cases, they are from that set. In other cases, they're cards that were reprinted in that set. Again, hopefully this helps you find some good deals out there. Kozilek Butcher of Truth, the Modern Masters 2015 copy, down $202 to $60.11. The Double Masters 2022 copy, down $203 to $41.35. This was in the list for Strixhaven and Modern Horizons 2. Gets a good amount of play in Modern. You see this in Niv to Light, Prison Tron, sometimes Mono Green Tron. In Legacy, it's in Mono Green Cloudpost. And it is a solid commander card in a lot of decks, including Kozilek the Great Distortion. Emrakul, the Eon's Torn, the copy from the list. It goes down $222 this week to $41.12. This was in the list for Zendikar Rising and Keldheim. In Modern, you see this in Archon of Cruelty builds, Calibrated Blast, and more. Legacy, it's in Mono Green Cloudpost, Sneak and Show, and Omnitel. Warrior's Oath from Double Masters 2022. It goes down $2.50 to $18.62. This is originally from Portal 3 Kingdoms, and this is the first time it was ever reprinted. Now, I usually don't feature Portal 3 Kingdoms cards in these videos because they're just really rare, and prices tend to jump back and forth all the time. I did see the original one, though, was down $10 this week. Now, this does get a little commander play in a few decks, including Obeka Brute Chronologist. Next is Kalia of the Vast. This is the copy from the original Double Masters set. It goes down $2.57 this week to $20.26. It is a very popular commander. Sometimes it does show up in the 99 of the Ur-Dragon builds, as well as some other builds in the format. Sensei's Divining Top, the Champions of Kamigawa copy, goes down $2.36 this week to $39.97. The Eternal Masters copy is down $2.67 to $37.18. So aside from the Double Masters 2022 reprint, this did join the list with Neon Dynasty, and it is still there now for Commander Legends. Keep in mind that covers New Capenna, where the list was smaller. Even though the Magic version of the Stranger Things cards were heavily weighted, the other cards on the list still did appear much more frequently compared to other sets. There's been a pretty big injection of copies of this card into the marketplace over the last few months. In Vintage, though, you do see this in Esper Tinker and Paradoxical Outcome. This is also a huge commander card that is getting more play now in some new builds like Elminster. Teferi's Protection, the original Commander 2017 copy, is down $2.71 this week to $30.50. This is a huge commander card found in lots of decks, including the Ur-Dragon. It's in new decks too, like the popular Merkle Lord of Bones. Consecrated Sphinx, the original Meriden Besieged copy, is down $2.76 this week to $40.23. This gets a lot of commander play too in many decks, like Grand Arbiter Augustin IV, for example. Conqueror's Flail, another card reprinted for the first time in Double Masters 2022. This is the one, though, from Commander 2016. It goes down $2.80 this week to $11.75. Solid commander card in a number of builds, including a new one, Nine Fingers Keen. Here's another first-time reprint, Allosaurus Shepherd. This is the copy from Double Masters 2022. It goes down $3.36 this week to $36. This is in Legacy Elves, and it has seen increased commander play now in a couple new builds, Ragadraga Gorgut's Boss, and Minsc and Boo Timeless Heroes. Also remember, we are going back to Dominaria, and there's going to be elves there. More on that a little later. Dockside Extortionist. Now this is the copy from Commander 2019, the original. It goes down $377 to $65.99, but it was reprinted for the first time in Double Masters 2022, and that copy is moving up a little bit. We'll see that in the next section. When it comes to gameplay, this is a very heavily played Commander card in many different builds. Basically, if you're playing Red in Commander, you probably want a copy of this. It was featured in 2 decks this week as well on an Extra Turns episode of the Command Zone podcast, Issue 2 Heavens is 1, as well as an Omnith Locus of Creation build. That could have brought some additional attention to it. It was also mentioned as an expensive card you should still buy in an MTG Goldfish video this week. And by the way, if you thought Wizards was going to back off on treasure tokens or pirates anytime soon, think again. Here's another box topper from Dominaria United, Ramirez Di Pietro Pillager. Next we have Phyrexian Altar. This is the one from Invasion, the original, going down $3.94 this week to $80.50. Big commander card and combo enabler in the format. This is in many builds and getting more play now in some Merkle Lord of Bones decks. And the last card in this section is Imperial Seal from Double Masters 2022. It goes down $19.80 to $140. Prior to this printing, this was a very hard card to find in high grade. It was originally from Portal 3 Kingdoms, and the English language copies of those cards are extremely rare. The other option you had was a Judge Foil. Both were extremely expensive, especially the Portal one. This copy is still expensive, but it is coming down, so we'll have to see how low it does go. And if you're wondering about the price trend for the Judge Foil or the original copy of this, both are staying real steady this week. The card itself is a sorcery speed vampiric tutor, but it is still a card that is played in many different commander decks that want additional tutor options. I have seen some players using this as an upgrade to the Commander Legends Mind Flayers commander deck, or adding it to fresh builds around the front-facing commander from their Captain Nagathrod. And that takes us to the Commander Spotlight. So all the cards in this section are moving, at least in part because of Commander. Might not be the only reason, and in some cases, Commander might not even be the key driver, but I'll let you know as we go through. Academy Rector. This has a small percentage increase, up 204 to 9703 this week. It does get Commander play in various builds. Radiant Archangel, up 207 this week to $21. This does get a little Commander play in a few builds, and it is sometimes in a popular one, Giada Font of Hope. Also, we recently saw the new foil legendary creatures that will be included in the Game Night Free-For-All product, which comes out this October, and there is an angel in there. It's up on the screen now, Zamriel Seraph of Steel. Sometimes new angels do get people thinking about Radiant Archangel, which could lead to some speculation on the card. And remember, angels are found in Dominaria as well, so there's a good chance we could see them in Dominaria United too. Okay, here's the other copy of Dockside Extortionist that I promised. It is the one from Double Masters 2022. It's up $220 this week to $64.70. Next is Cursed Mirror. This is up $234 to $718. Very solid commander card found in many different builds. It is getting additional play in the format too in Miram Sentinel Worm decks. Plus it was in a Svella Ice Shaper deck in that recent Extra Turns episode of the Command Zone podcast. That could have brought some additional attention to it. Harmony of Nature, up $266 to $1582. So this is an older card that's yet to be reprinted. It doesn't really see all that much play, but it is hard to find online in good condition right now. It does appear to be a non-reserve list targeted buyout. We have seen this happen recently with older cards that are hard to find in high grade. Sometimes they're targeted for a quick spike and flip. The Ur-Dragon from Commander 2017. This only comes in foil. It goes up $308 this week to $76.90. So this spiked not too long ago, back when Commander Legends Battle for Baldur's Gate was coming out. Everybody was trying to build new Dragon Commander decks. Then over the last few weeks, the card did cool off. We saw the price come down some. It is rebounding a little bit, though, as you can see this week. Obviously, this is a huge Dragon Commander. Sometimes it's in the 99 builds there too, though, like Tiamat, for example. It is worth noting, though, we do have some Dragon support preview cards that were revealed recently, too, which again could lead to some future interest in the tribe. Let's take a look. We have Shivan Devastator. This is one of the preview cards from Dominaria United. And then the card on the right is Nogi Draco Zealot. It's one of those foil cards from the Game Night Free-For-All product, and it is not a dragon itself at first, but it supports the tribe and it can turn into a dragon until end of turn at times. Holistic Wisdom. This is up $369 this week to $8.86. Another older card yet to be reprinted. This one does see a little commander play, but the reason it's moving the way it is now is because it was discussed on a recent episode of the Command Zone podcast talking about obscure and underrated Commander cards. This does allow you to get some of your best cards back later in the game. Volrath Stronghold of 373 this week to 104.49. This is a solid Commander card in a number of different builds. It was in a Chain or Dementia Master deck in that recent Extra Turns episode of the Command Zone podcast. Also, this could play well in the future with another one of the foil cards from Game Night Free-for-All. Here it is on the screen, Vogar Necropolis Tyrant. But there is another reason Volrath Stronghold is going up, and it's tied into a leak that came from Dominaria United. Because it is a leak, I'm not going to put the card on the screen. A lot of players don't want to see those cards until they're officially previewed, and I do want to respect that. What I'll do is give you the name, and that way if you want to look it up and see, you can. And if you don't want to hear the name, and yes, the name itself could allude to some spoilers perhaps, I'll let you go ahead and skip to the next card now. Assuming this card is real and not fake, it is Sheoldred Insidious Conqueror. Next we have Earthcraft. It goes up 451 this week to 161.43. This does get some Commander play in a number of different builds, including Chatterfang Squirrel General. It combos with Squirrel Nest there. Norwood Priestess up 462 to 117.66. This does get a little Commander play, but again, we have an older card yet to be reprinted. Very difficult to find in high grade online. It has been losing value recently though, so again, we're seeing a card that is bouncing back a little bit this week. Now, there have been some elf previews that may have people thinking about rare elves like this one again. Let's take a look at them. On the left is Llanowar Loam Speaker from Dominaria United. Stands to reason we'll see more elves in that set as well. And then on your right, you see another foil card from the Game Night Free-for-All product. That is Amaril Elfhame Elite. Last card is Seed Time. This goes up 9.58 this week to 26.99. This sees a little Commander play in different builds. It's another older card yet to be reprinted, but it's also another card that was discussed in that episode of the Command Zone podcast looking at obscure and underrated Commander cards recently. That may have brought some more attention to this. Blue spells are played pretty consistently in most Commander games. It is a nice response to a counter spell. Your spell might be countered, sure, but you can take an extra turn for a green and 1. Now, I don't have a premium spotlight section this week. I looked at a number of cards, didn't really see anything that caught my eye though. As you know, in the premium market, there's always cards jumping and dipping, but I don't like to talk about cards that are moving up because of a targeted buyout, or cards that are just dry in the short term, and then as more copies enter the marketplace, they're going to go back down. I try to find cards that feel like they're growing more naturally, cards that are moving because of some news or gameplay changes, things along those lines, and nothing really caught my eye this week. I'm sure it will change next week. Until next time though, hey, stay safe out there. Thanks for watching. Please remember to like and subscribe, and have a great day. Hey, thanks for watching. This video is made possible through the generous support of viewers like you on Patreon. Check out the description below for links to our Patreon page as well as our Amazon affiliate store, where a small percentage of all sales will also help support the channel. Finally, if you haven't had a chance yet to subscribe, hit that subscribe button so you don't miss any of the new videos on Heroes and Legends. Talk to you again soon, and have a great day.